You are about to experience a heart attack. Welcome to Crowdfunding Comics' craziest new pitch show. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of your mom's favorite Crowdfunding Comics YouTube show, Heart Attack. Today, my guest is Lyndon White to talk about his campaign, Reanimator Incorporated, with writer Andy Perry, funding now on Kickstarter. Thanks for joining me today, Lyndon.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so the format of the show, just to remind everybody, we get 5 minutes on the clock to answer a series of rapid fire questions designed to make folks go back. Reanimator Incorporated. You ready for this?
Yeah, hit me.
All right, so let's get the clock started. And go. All right, what's the elevator pitch for Reanimator Incorporated?
Reanimator Incorporated is a modern retelling of H.P. Lovecraft's Herbert West Reanimator. It's basically about a guy obsessed with trying to bring people back from the dead.
Okay, so this is a retelling or an adaptation. Exactly, how does it fall in there?
Retelling. So it's not a straight up adaptation. It's like a modern retelling. So we're updating the characters, updating the some of the themes to more of a modern setting, but it's still got at the heart, it's still got Lovecraft's mythos, characters, and lore in there. It's just like as I say, a modern retelling, a incorporated retelling of it, if you will.
Well, there are so many Lovecraft stories to choose from. Why this one?
I think it's Andy approached me, so I'm the artist behind the story. Andy's the writer, and I do sprinkles of writing in between and story beats. But it's something that hooked Andy, that core story of trying to bring people back and what you see once you go beyond death, once you see past the realms of our mortality. It hooked him, and he couldn't let it go. And then he formed this idea and this arc, and then got in touch with me. And yeah, now we're making our second book.
Yeah. Well, this is volume 2. Where did we leave off the story with volume 1, and where are we going?
Okay, so volume 1 is a bit more grounded. It's very much a smaller scale story. It's about Herbert West and his scientific partner Kane are trying to bring people back from the dead. They bring back their first cadaver and are successful, but they don't realize they accidentally bring the body back, but a demon has gone inside the body. And while this is happening, Herbert West's son Mike forms a scientific experiment, goes wrong, he gets killed, and West, now having the secret to immortality, thinks he can bring his son back, but doesn't realize that he's bringing his son back with a demon inside the body. So volume 2 picks up straight there. Mike, the character who's died, his soul is outside his body and is getting transported through the different realms of the afterlife, while Herbert West is trying to discover what's happened to his son, and is his son actually in that body.
Okay. Well, I'm familiar with your work, having been a backer on your Candles project. This is kind of a visual departure from that. Did you have any reference points that you were kind of trying to use visually, aside from tentacly, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, like my comics career started with horror, really. Someone said, do you want to do a horror book? And it kind of launched my career of doing 3 years back to back of horror books. Candles was probably the left field sort of thing that people didn't expect me to do a all ages fantasy book, but that Candles is very much me tonally, whereas Lovecraft Incorporated is very much Andy and me. So it's got my tonally it's more Andy, but visually it's still got all my cues about lighting, the horror, the fantastical mixed with the horror.
Yeah, I mean, you've chosen a really bold color palette, which is kind of unlike what we classically think of, something dark, moody, typically Lovecraftian, right? So why?
I've had a bit of an ongoing joke that I'm fed up with monsters only coming out at nighttime. You know, we need more color palettes, and particularly as an artist, you don't want to be using the same color palette over and over again. And Lovecraft does. We see into the beyond. We don't, as humans, we don't actually know what that looks like, so we don't need to go for conventional color palettes. We can mix it up, so to speak. We can do things that are a bit different, a bit outworldly. I think Lovecraft, people tend to stick in one pocket of it, and you can actually do a lot with the world and the visuals.
Yeah. What's the hardest thing you've had to draw in this project?
Double page spreads that Andy gives me. There's a cathedral, which drawing a cathedral can take a lot of time because you're going to draw all the bricks, all the towers, all the different parts of it. The monsters are easy. The architecture's the hard part.
Okay, interesting. Who's going to love this book?
Anyone who's a fan of horror or is vaguely interested in Lovecraft, like this is a book that you can be a Lovecraft veteran and get a lot out of it, or if you're new to Lovecraft or the horror genre, it's very accessible.
Okay. What would you like to leave the readers with?
Wanting more of this story and this arc where it's going.
Okay. This is chapter 2. How many chapters do you have planned total for the series?
Andy has planned a total of 6, which will wrap up the overall story, but each volume has a beginning, middle, and end, so there's very definitive arcs with each book.
Okay, really quick. What cool and unique rewards you got?
Bundles of book 2, and I'm going to be sketching all the books because we hit a stretch goal.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's really cool. I don't think we have time for another one, but yeah, there we go. Well, that's
Cool.
a wrap. Yeah. 5 jam-packed minutes of a heart attack, which seems appropriate when we're talking about Reanimator. So how did it feel?
Good. It feels like a really intense grilling at Comic-Con. Like when someone wants to know about your book, it feels like a really intense fan or potential reader of your work. Yeah.
Well, hopefully it's enticing to the people who are listening. You know, I'm a huge Lovecraft fan. I love your artistic style, so I hope people go check the campaign out, and they can download the first chapter if I'm understanding correctly, right?
We want to make sure it's as accessible as possible because these are big books. They're graphic novel size books. So if you're not too sure if you want to back book 2, you can just read book 1, see if you like the story, and then jump on board and get both books, or just book 2 if you want.
Okay. And where can people go to back it?
If you type in Reanimator Incorporated on Kickstarter, it'll pop up, and that's the best place to back it.
All right. Where can everybody find you?
I'm at Lyndon Draws on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Or you can go to my website, which is lyndonwhite.com, and that's got my portfolio, my comics, my graphic novels, and links to where you can buy everything.
Okay. One of the things that it's like a great positive on this pitch to me is the book is already done, if I'm understanding it correct, right? So
yeah, I turned in the last page of colored artwork last week. I've got some lettering to do. We're just fine-tuning some little things before I do the final lettering pass, but yeah, the book's pretty much ready to go to print. Okay.
Yeah. And for people like me who are domestic to the US, you've got a partnership worked out, right? To save on some shipping?
Yeah, so Ryan, he's doing some artwork for a print on the Kickstarter. He's based in the States, I believe. And the idea is, instead of sending all these books individually out from UK, which costs a fortune shipping at the moment, right, me and Andy will package everything up, put them in really big parcels, and then ship them off to Ryan, and then he'll ship them off individually from his side of things, which saves a lot on postage. It's what we did for the first campaign, but we weren't too sure how successful it would be. But thankfully, this works out for everyone getting the books faster. It's cheaper for us and backers, and we're kind of like take the sting out of backing a UK project for people in the States.
Yeah. I love creative ideas and solutions for the shipping challenges that we're all dealing with. So
yeah, it's one of the biggest hurdles at the moment, because I mean, if you're buying a book, you don't really want your shipping to be more expensive than the book. Like, right. I appreciate it because Kickstarters that I back from US creators, but unfortunately I have to get the digital version because the shipping's so expensive at the moment.
Right. Yeah. Well, Lyndon, thanks so much for stopping by the show and to tell us all about Reanimator Incorporated.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been great.
Yeah, well, everybody listening, you know what to do. Go back it. Go spend your money. This is Byron O'Neal on behalf of all of us at Comic Book Yeti. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Comic Book Yeti YouTube channel and this episode of Heart Attack. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.